This aeroplane operated in private hands on the display circuit now since 1975. It's a quite incredible run, all without official support, for although this aircraft is based here at Duxford, it's not part of the museum. It's operated by B17 Preservation, led as always by Ellie Sallingbow. And of course this has been a rather difficult year, Colin, hasn't it? Because of the pandemic forcing the aircraft to be grounded all last year, but it's so fantastic to see it back on the circuit. It'll look like better than ever this year. Absolutely right. To keep this airplane in here and carry out the work as well is quite a remarkable achievement. It has, and the aircraft has made a number of appearances on the 2021 display circuit, having missed what would have been its 45th anniversary season last year. It's the only flying B-17 still operational in Europe, and it acts as a flying memorial to the tens of thousands of Allied aircrew who lost their lives in the European theatre during wartime, and particularly those of the US 8th Air Force stationed here in East Anglia. Here she comes. As you can clearly see on that front line, the aircraft carries the logo of the Memphis, the original Memphis Bell, was based just up the road at Bassingbourn, and is widely recognised as the first B-17 to complete the 25 missions that were required for the series to be completed. The airmen could go home. In reality, it wasn't the first, but it was filmed as being the first. Its crew, headed by Captain Robert Morgan, actually launched up 29 missions before they were to expire. And the chances of doing that, and this is why we remember these crews through Sally B, the chances of achieving completion of your full 25 mission tour were pretty remote, weren't they? Even they were an aircraft as tough as the B-17.
Yeah, daylight bombing was the order of the day, and sadly the cost of that daylight bombing operation was immense. Incidentally, the first mission by the American Air Force during the Second World War was on a raid to continental Europe. It was actually led by Paul Tibbets, who would become famous as being the pilot who flew the mission to drop the atomic bomb at the end of the war. So he effectively was in there right at the start, flying out of Craft in Underwood, just up the road in Northamptonshire, and it was in that mission to drop the bomb, which effectively ended the Second World War.
Yes, indeed, in the B-29. And you mentioned that first mission was escorted by RAF Spitfires, and that of course was one of the problems for the B-17s and the B-24s when first they started operations, beginning with B-17s in the summer of 1942, because at that point Spitfires were all there were to escort them, and they were relatively short-ranged, and it took the P-47s and the P-51s, which were shortly to see, to provide that longer-range escort facility that was so crucial.
Absolutely. The arrival of the Mustang in particular changed the whole dynamic of the air war in Europe, because they could escort the B-17s and the B-24s down to Algeria.
When we talk about those daylight raids, they were very often against German industrial facilities and transport and resupply networks. As our enemy fighters, our patrols get into the air underneath.
Frankfurt, where they suffered such huge losses, the whole plan of daylight bombing became unsustainable.
Yes, 77 B-17s were lost on that mission alone. But as we say, later on with the more suitable escort fighters and the Allies gaining air superiority over occupied Europe, particularly after D-Day.
Yes, there's a combination of all of those things that did change the whole dynamic of the air war in Europe.
And there were so many American bomber bases across East Anglia during wartime. The traces of many of them can still be seen. There are memorials at quite a lot of them as well.
I think most of them, in fact, have
Yes.
a memorial now.
And many of them have over the years been overflown by Sally B in its role as an airborne memorial to all of those men of the 8th Air Force in East Anglia.
Including manning the American cemetery, which is probably less than 5 miles or so up the road from here.
Indeed, so we remember the 8th Air Force crews, all Allied airmen, Sally B comes in for its final pass from left to right, and we also use this to salute the members of the Sally B Supporters Club, the organisation whose funds do so much to help keep this aircraft flying and support what is a very expensive operation. Thank you to all of you, and this pass with smoke on, simulating 2 damaged engines. Thank you, tribute. B captained today by Andrew Dixon with Paul Schluer in the co-pilot seat. And you can join the Sally B Supporters Club by visiting their stand, which is just in front of where the B-17 will park back up, just to the left of the control tower towards the eastern end of the airfield. You can see the B-17 Sally B flags flying. At its parking spot, the team will be delighted to talk to you, delighted to sign you up to the Supporters Club, which brings with it many benefits. Alternatively, do it when you get home and find out more from the website www.sallyb.org.uk. There's a full history of the aircraft there, history of the B-17, history of this airframe, and details of many of its exploits. How many times have we seen that, Colin?
Yes, absolutely.
Sailing over the horizon,
yeah,
but it never ceases to be a delight.
Absolutely, and long may she continue to be based here at Duxford and continue in the air as a flying memorial to the men of the 8th Army Air Force.
Ellie Sally, by the aircraft operator, said the aircraft looked stunning when it was brought back outside in May this year. Its new livery, the volunteer team applied it during the cool season months while the aircraft was hangared here at Duxford. And it does look very, very smart indeed. As Colin says, the 91st Bomb Group livery with the Memphis Bell nose art on one side and the second. We're going to stick with the US 8th Air Force in particular, also not forgetting the contribution made by the 9th Air Force, which is also stationed in the UK, albeit further west. In our next item, which particularly brings to mind this airfield's time as one of the many US Army Air Forces bases in the UK during the latter part of World War II. Specifically, Duxford became Station 357 of the Army Air Forces, home to the 78th Fighter Group. Often think about the motorists on the M11 coming up, and Sally B land must be fantastic. So there, Andrew Dixon and Paul Schluer Touching down at the B17, we're delighted to announce that yesterday the aircraft flew with a newly fledged captain in the hot seat for the first time, John Corley, and we look forward to seeing him displaying the aircraft for us next season.
Where were you?
Lovely rollout with the tail held aloft until the last moment.
Yes, that's also very characteristic, isn't it?
It is, yes.
Yes, we're now back to the 78th Fighter Group of the US Army Air Forces. It really transfers the scene not so much to Duxford late war, but to the times late in World War II, when
first time we came down here with my mum,
Allied fighters were stationed at Ford airstrips on the newly liberated continent. We're going to be seeing some pyrotechnics, I believe, during this display, so don't be alarmed at the bangs going off from the far side of the airfield.
Right, point sound, don't stop.
Sometimes you better see that set them to look at the yeah, I know. Right, yeah, they turned and we're not turning.
In the case of the 78th Fighter Group, it made its first 2 missions in a sweep over the areas of Dunkirk, Saint-Omer and Calais in B-17 Thunderbolts on the 13th of April 1953. This following its move from Knox Hill to here at Duxford. It was to remain stationed at this airfield through